What's up, everybody? It's Christopher J, Sikan's RBN. I'm sitting here at Pastimes Arcade with the owner, Rob Berk. Rob, great to see you.
Hey, thanks for allowing me to be part of your podcast.
Thank you for allowing me to come here. This is an amazing place. The third time I've been here, always an incredible time. You have probably the best retro arcade anywhere in Ohio. It's amazing. Incredible games that I've never seen anywhere else before. So yeah, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit. Can we talk about how you got started being interested in pinball and video games and everything?
Well, you know, in the pinball world, I grew up with it when I was, I don't know, 5 or 7 years old. There was a machine in the basement of my home.
Of course.
It was a United 1947 Babyface.
Wow.
But I didn't know what it was or appreciate it. It probably wasn't until I went to college where I, back in the early 70s, where there was rows and rows of pinball machines. So I got further hooked into it.
Oh, lucky.
But I don't know. I found pinball to be one of the few things in life that really gave me a lot of excitement.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was pinball machines and fireworks. I always like fireworks. But anyone that comes here will see a lot of the passion. And what's happened is a lot of the games I collect, if there's 3 or 4 or 5 of the same style of games with different themes, I would get them like this. Some of the midway games that had the little cars running around the back.
Oh, yeah.
So I had one. I said, let me try to get all of them. And when we walk around here, we'll show you some of the games in the foreign row. There was a game from the Australian company, Star Wars, and I got that, but then I found out they made 4 other titles. So I said, okay, I got to get the whole set of those.
Just collector mentality.
So like a completist. You know, you got to get them all. So, you know, once you get hooked in some of this stuff, it's hard to have just one. And there's such a crazy representation here of games from the... In fact, we have a lot of pre-flipper games here from the 30s.
I noticed that up along the front wall there. Yeah.
So a lot of the manufacturers back then came from Youngstown, Ohio.
Okay.
So the Youngstown was the home of some of the people involved in the gambling aspect of it. So a lot of the games came out of this area. Right.
So bringing it all back to this area, it's kind of like a homecoming.
Yeah, I guess you could say that, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here at the arcade, you'll find the games from the 30s. You'll find the newer games. You'll find a row of just the gun games. Because when I grew up, that's all we had was the gun games. So you see some of those. But the new, the old, and a lot of the international games. I got hooked on these games from Spain and Italy when I went to Europe in my travels. And I could not believe the titles there I'd never seen in my life. I said, I'd never heard of these games.
Yeah, I've seen those out on the floor, and it's just mind-blowing, the different variety that they have.
So we'll show you those as well. So there's a lot going on here. So plus we got milkshakes for those that like milkshakes.
Hey, can't complain about milkshakes, chicken tenders, chili dogs. It's all good. I'd like to actually talk about this building for a minute because this used to be a grocery store.
Yeah, so it was closed down for about 3 years. I kept driving by here and never thought anything of it. And then one day I said, what if I could buy this building cheap enough and just store my games in here? And the thinking being, maybe I'll come once a week, I'll open the door up and play a couple games of pinball.
So it was originally just planning to be like a warehouse for your games.
Yeah, and then my wife says, you're crazy. If you're going to go to this extent of remodeling this place and doing this work, keep it open to the general public. Let them enjoy the collection as well. Because, I mean, the games were just sitting in storage forever.
Right.
With the help of Mike Hale very early on, he helped turn this grocery store, which was I mean, it was a lot of work in the beginning to bring it to reality what we have today.
About how long did it take you guys from start to finish?
Oh my gosh, probably well over a year. Plus the roof had an issue with it. That wasn't cheap. But we had a drop ceiling, which we took the drop ceiling down and, you know, give it a nice look as it is today.
Oh, it's absolutely beautiful in here. You guys did great work.
Yeah.
So, Rob, tell me, what was the first pinball machine that you remember buying for your own personal use? And how did it grow from that into this collection of, what is it, over 600 games?
Over 600, yeah. So, growing up, the county fair would come to our area, and they had an arcade as part of the fair.
Oh, okay.
And the arcade would always have games. Now, we're talking about games that were made in the mid to late 60s.
Okay.
You know, when I was growing up. And I loved playing those games. There's something about them that were fun, they were simple, easy to understand. But I could just play them forever. Well, anyways, fast forward, in the early 70s, I decided to start buying games I remember playing. And one of them was a game called Post Time.
Okay.
Or the replay version was called Paddock.
Oh, right. Yes.
And Paddock was very was a funny, very funny game I remember playing. So I started looking for that game, and some guy advertised in the newspaper, and he said, "Hey, I got games for sale." And I said, "I'm looking for Paddock." And he said, "I don't have Paddock, but I have Post Time." I said, "Post Time? What's that?" He said, "It was the Adaball version." Adaball? I never heard of Adaball. Well, here in Ohio, they never had the Adaball games, but I bought it, and I said, "Well, it's kind of cool because in theory, you could play one game forever if you keep getting an Adaball." So I started collecting Adaball games in the 60s.
Mm-hmm. So you're an Adaball guy, not a replay guy.
Yeah. So I went to Wisconsin because that was an Adaball territory. I bought games there, and it was crazy because in the beginning, one of the biggest hauls I had was like 20 games out of Wisconsin. They're $100 a game, and I thought it was a pretty fair price at the time. But then I started advertising in Play Meter and Replay, wanted to buy pinball machines from the 60s. So I get a phone call from a guy from Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Wow.
He says, "I got a warehouse full, maybe 200. I said, 200? Wow. So I flew down there, and he had like a room there where he stored everything, and he opened the door, and I'm like in heaven. So I bought, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 games off that guy. Then I got another phone call from a guy, Mark Feldman, out of Omaha, Nebraska. He says, "Come on down. I got about 400 games." So I flew down to see his warehouse, and I bought a bunch of games off of him. But this is the beginning of it. And then, once you got the fever, it's hard to stop. At least how I'm wired. The more I bought, I just obsessed with it. And it was a passion that got out of control, is what I tell my friends. So I kept buying. And then, I didn't really have anywhere to put these games. We have a family business, so I kept the games at the warehouse there. But it wasn't until I saw this photo that I thought to myself, geez, all these years of buying these games, the collection kept getting bigger and bigger, but I never really enjoyed it. They're just sitting in storage.
Right.
So that's how this became a reality.
That's amazing.
So finally, these games that I've been buying all these years, I can finally get them up and running and enjoy them and play them. And people like yourself come here and you lose your mind.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you mentioned, like just walking into that warehouse and just going, "Oh my God." Like that's the exact expression that I had on my face the first time I walked in this place.
Yeah. Plus, we take a lot of pride in keeping the games clean and running.
Yeah, you do a great job over
sure,
here.
there's some that break down, but, we try to keep on top of it. We got 4 techs, and they spend, hours and hours every day just keeping these games up and running.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's admirable.
Yeah.
You've also been involved with Pinball Expo since its inception.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you had a lot of games from your personal collection make its way over there over the years as well.
So what happened there was, the more I was into collecting these pinball machines, I started buying all these books. Michael Comer had a book, Roger Sharp. This is the early years of pinball.
Yeah.
And I start reading about the various people that designed the games that I liked. And this name kept coming up, Norm Clark. He designed Paddock and Ding Dong and some others that I really liked a lot. Over the years, I had a chance to meet him. And then I had a chance to meet Steve Kordak, who designed Space Mission, Grand Prix, among others.
Yeah.
And then I hooked up and met Don Murphy. His family owned Electrical Windings. They made transformers and coils for Gottlieb.
Oh, okay.
So he introduced me to Wayne Nyans. So now I'm starting to meet all these guys that were behind the scene. And I thought to myself, these are my true heroes, the guys that designed the games that I liked. So I said to myself, I want to do a show, Pinball Expo. It can be a one-time deal, but my whole concept and whole idea was to honor those guys that created the games that I love. So in 1984, I put out a questionnaire through Steve Young's Pinball Collectors Quarterly publication he did back then.
Right.
If I did a national pinball convention, would you guys come? So overwhelmingly, people said yes.
Yep.
So that was a plus. Then I hooked up with Mike Pasak. At the time, he ran the arcades for Fun and Games. I hooked up with Bill Kurtz, who was had written a book on pinball, and together we pulled off the Pinball Expo. And to me, the thrill was at the banquet. We had Elvin Gottlieb would be our guest speaker. He spoke for 3 hours.
Wow.
Yes, for those listening to this, 3 hours. And but more importantly, I had 5 designers come up front, or 4. Steve Kordak, would you come up front? Norm Clark, Wayne Nines, and Harvey Heiss. Harvey Heiss had designed for Genco.
Okay.
And I said, ladies and gentlemen, these 4 gentlemen are responsible for the design of over 600 games. Well, everyone stood up and applauded. And these guys had tears in their eyes. Not all of them, some of them did, because they had never been recognized. It just blew their minds. So they were very appreciative. And after the show, I felt I had done what I wanted to do. One and done, honor my friends, end of it.
It's incredible to be able to give back like that, too.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So 6 months later, I started getting phone calls. This is before the internet. Hey, man, when's the next show? I said, well, there is no next show. It's one and done. Oh, no, this is too much fun. You got to do it again. All right, I'll do one more. Another one. So this year will be number 42.
That's insane. Over 40 years of that, which was only supposed to be a one-off show.
Yeah. And, early on, we toured all the different factories. I mean, we've been just about every factory that's ever been open here in America. So that was also a treat for a lot of people to see.
Yeah.
And back then, those early years, Gottlieb was very, very tight-lipped about their operations, and they weren't going to show you anything. So to open the door to expo attendance was like unheard of. Because in speaking to Steve Kordak and Wayne Nines, designers, he says, we knew about each other, but we never talked. It was kind of like a taboo to talk to the competition.
Wow.
So at Expo, they all got together under one roof. It was crazy, but they all connected quite well.
Yeah.
I remember Kordak saying, hey, that Wayne Nines, nice guy, So they had a good time talking. So it was the beginning of opening up the pinball world to everybody. And today, there's pinball shows all over the place, including all over the world.
Absolutely.
So it all started with Pinball Expo.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much. I noticed that you continue that legacy of honoring the designers with all the banners that you have all across the entire wall here.
Yeah, we'll show you here in a bit. But we pick a lot of the who's who of the pinball industry, from Roger Sharp to Harry Mabs and so forth. But we recognize them, and the posters are really fun to see them, and people that really take the time to look at it, they can appreciate the history behind these people. Yeah,
because this is not just an arcade, it's not just a museum, it's basically a living testament to the power of pinball.
Yeah, it's an educational opportunity to learn more about the people behind the scene.
I think we've sat here and talked for long enough. Why don't you show us some of your favorite games over here?
You got it. Follow me.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, follow me. Chris, the first thing I'm going to show you is our hall or wall of fame. So there's David Gottlieb, of course, from the Gottlieb family. Harvey Heiss. He was from Genco. He was their designer from the very, very beginning. Steve Kordak worked for Harvey Heiss in the early years. Roy Parker, of course, artwork. Harry Mabs, the creator of the flipper. Sam Stern, Harry Williams. So the list just goes on and on of all these designers and artists. Steve Ritchie, designer extraordinaire. Margaret Hudson, one of the few women in the industry. She came to Pinball Expo this past year, so it was kind of fun to see her again. Fred Young, the man of the voices, he did all the voices of a lot of the early Stern games.
Oh wow!
Back to the Future, there's some of the titles there. He did Punchy the Clown. He was the voice of Punchy the Clown. We'll start here just because you don't see this game every day.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about this one? This is something that just doesn't come up that often.
Yeah, the manufacturer is called Hexa, H-E-X-A. They're out of France. And I had the opportunity to go to their factory, and then when I went to their factory, I sold them on me, and then I said, you got to come to Pinball Expo, and they did. But this is the first game they built. They're still in operation. They've just been around for a couple of years now. But they very much want to get involved in the pinball industry, and this is their first attempt at making pinball. So here we got the international row. So let's see if it says on there. Yeah, there we go. So to me, this is the most exciting row because No matter where you go, anywhere in the U.S., yes, there's pinball machines, the newest, the latest, the greatest. There's everything. But I don't know anyone that's got the representation we do of the foreign titles.
Absolutely.
So you've got 2 rows of foreign titles here. I don't know. We must have close to, who knows, 75 games maybe. It's just crazy.
And how did you end up starting to get all these ones in your collection? Have you been traveling overseas to pick these up?
Well, so I hooked up with a fellow out of Australia that mentioned about Hankin. And he helped me acquire this game here, which I'd seen a couple of times in some of the early Pinball Expos even. One or two people had this title. But what made this interesting is he said, did you know Hankin made other titles? I said, no, are you kidding me? He said, yeah, they made 5 different games. So Shark was one. This one here, this was a soccer player, I believe, out there or cricket out of Australia.
Yeah, that might be the only cricket-themed pinball I've ever seen in my life.
Yep. Orbit, and then this game here. So all these titles came out of Hankin. I had never heard about this title until this gentleman reached out to me and said, hey, Hankin made a lot of great games besides Empire. So he helped me acquire all 5 of them. And like
this
I mentioned,
is the full collection.
This is the full collection. So I'm goofy that way. If I find something unique, I want the whole set rather than just the one game.
Absolutely.
And then a lot of these games here are from Italy and Spain. Again, these are some crazy titles you just never see. Can you imagine here behind you? This is a game that a title like that would never be made in America. So, but it's got a real kind of a eerie look there with all the red lights glowing. So that's pretty cool. So Zaccaria made a lot of interesting games for the time, and they use a lot of these vacuum form ramps, a lot of their products here along the back there. So
yeah, they've got some really unique, interesting
features,
designs.
Exactly correct.
I think the one that I really like, I'm not sure, over there, Time Machine, with the playfield that lowers and raises.
The story of this game here is when this game came in, the back glass came through broken.
Oh, no.
So through all my contacts, I was able to find someone to recreate it.
Okay.
That's one thing we do. Put a lot of money into restoring these games. And if the back glass looks a little shaky, I'll replace it or make it like brand new versus just patching it up here and there.
Right.
So that's a brand new back glass of that game there.
It's beautiful. What do you think is the most off-the-wall, wackiest game out of this entire aisle?
Well, this one here is pretty cool here.
Future Queen.
Yeah. So if you look back here, behind here, Mr. Cameraman, you'll see a spinner back there. It's kind of hidden for view. And when you hit these targets, I think that spinner comes out and spins.
Oh, wow.
I mean, if the ball goes through it. But I've never seen anyone do that feature. Normally, the spinner's always in the open.
Right.
So that's crazy. But, when it comes to these European games, it takes a special person to be able to fix them. And I have a guy who works with me, Ron Kuhn. And Ron comes down here once a week, and he helps me work in these foreign games. Somehow he's wired that he can figure out how to fix these games. This is not your typical operating system like you see in the U.S.
Yeah, and you've got to imagine that a lot of this stuff, the documentation probably just doesn't exist anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, this young lady here is playing this game Surfing. This game came from Tokyo, Japan.
Wow. That's a Sega game.
You never see these games. Never. And this game is really, really a fun game. Here's one you don't see every day, Varcon. Upright pinball.
Oh, that's cool.
This was made by Williams. It's a very limited production run.
Less than 100 of those made, right?
Yep. And then this is Atari's version of a video pinball.
It's funny because I remember playing the 2600 version of it when I was a kid.
There you go.
And then seeing it there with an actual cabinet. That's pretty cool.
Then this is the crossover. They made half pinball, half video. They made a couple of different models of these games.
Yeah, Baby Pac-Man, that's one that shows up pretty frequently, but Granny and the Gators.
Hardly ever.
Yeah.
And this row here is just all Stern games. Early Stern games.
The original Stern.
So this was designed by Steve Kirk. I had the chance to meet Steve in the early years of Pinball Expo, so you know, like a lot of these guys, eccentric guy, but I liked his designs. He was different. They were different designs compared to a lot of the other guys at the time. This is a very special game to me as well, only because this game was made for Australia only, but it was a Stern licensed product, and this is a game that I found in Australia, and I shipped it here to America for people to enjoy.
That's great.
Again, the back glass is broken, so we had to reproduce the back glass, but it looks like new. The
I would have never been able to tell.
The playfield looks like new, so
I can't wait to play that.
Yeah, fun game to do.
And one of the other things I love that you do here is having all the little info cards up at the top of each.
Yeah, a little history behind it, yep.
Yeah, it tells us when they came out, how many of them were produced, some fun facts about them. That just goes the extra mile, and you don't see that everywhere. So thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah. This was one of the better Stern games as well. But for anyone that looks at this game and thinks it looks familiar, this is the game. This is basically the general playfield that turned into the Beatles game.
Right, yeah.
Here's a game you don't see every day.
Asteroid, Annie, and the Aliens.
Yep.
What's so special about this one, Rob?
I don't know a whole lot about it, other than it was a low production run, 211.
Mm-hmm.
But John Burris designed it. John Burris is at Expo every year, so you can anyone that comes to Expo, you can ask John these direct questions yourself.
I love a lot of the older games, how they seem to be focused on a couple recurring themes. You always see card games, you see bowling games.
That's correct.
But you rarely see those anymore these days.
Well, you know why? Because licensed games sell.
Yeah.
This young guy here likes Kiss, so they make these Kiss games like the Tom Neiman, you know, worked on the licensed things. But they realized the sales exploded on those games that were licensed because people that never played pinball, they'll buy it only because of the theme itself.
So that's how you end up with the new Dungeons and Dragons. You end up with Godzilla. You end up with Foo Fighters, Jaws, all that stuff.
And Star Wars machines.
Yeah. And talking about licenses, here we have Pac-Man side by side with Adam's Family.
Yep. You know, here's a game you don't see too often, but for some reason it's somewhat popular as this Dolly Parton.
Yeah. So
glad to have that game. This is the game I bought in Pinball Expo. This game was, I use the word tricked out. Well, look at this apron. Is that the coolest thing you ever saw?
That's pretty awesome.
That is definitely one of the coolest aprons ever.
So this guy out of Italy, Ivan, created this thing, and he turned this game into a really sharp-looking machine. With all the mods he did, this is a green or blue-colored chrome all through the cabinet. And the skateboard top, I mean, just really cool how he tricked it out.
It's beautiful.
So he comes to Expo every year and he sells a lot of his games. But when I saw this game here, I stopped. I said, sold, because it was so beautiful. This is another very hard game to find.
Oh, wow.
Tron LE. Very hard game to find, and an expensive game. It must be a low production, but it is expensive to find this game.
It looks amazing. It really captures that vibe of the movie.
Yeah. So this is the one I mentioned about. Fred Young was the voice behind Punchy the Clown.
Mm-hmm.
This is a game very hard to find. I don't know why. I finally bought this game in Austria.
Austria, of all places.
Of all places.
Wow.
There's a pinball museum there, and this game was sitting in the museum, and I asked the guy, would you sell it? Yes. I said, sold. You just can't find this game anywhere.
I guess when Rob Berk comes asking, people don't say no very often, huh?
Well, the guy didn't know me that well, but I mean, he had been to Expo, but, you know, this is all part of, you know, to share it with the community. That's what it's all about. And
that's a Nintendo license, too.
Yeah.
Those don't pop up that frequently.
Now, what's so unusual about this game? Mr. Cameraman, look at the shelf. Where did this game come from?
Where did this game come from?
Where did it come from?
You tell me.
I mean, it looks like it came from the beach.
Who's the manufacturer?
Rally.
Correct.
Yeah, it says Rally.
Where's Rally from?
Are they a French
Correct. Company? I never knew this game existed. Because I'd seen some of the Rally games, solid state games, but I'd never seen a Rally EM. But this came out of France.
with a
again,
nice little shelf here to
Yeah.
set your drink down.
but just the styling is, very
Yeah.
contemporary for the time, anyways. But that's what makes pastime so unique. You just don't see these games everywhere.
Yeah. I
Rather,
was just playing this one last night.
yeah, rather strong collection of Atari games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 titles. So not
6, including Hercules.
You got it. Yep. What country is this from? And who made this game?
I have no clue. Oh, is this another rally?
Another rally game. But see, it doesn't have the styling of the other
It
one.
doesn't have a shelf.
Yep. So this game came from France. Again, you don't see these games anywhere.
Yeah.
So
How do you do it? How do you dig up these rarities?
Yeah, when I see these goofy games, I go goofy myself. I gotta have it. I gotta have it. But it's just fun. If you're into the pinball world, it's just fun to see these games.
Yeah.
Huber's Quest was a game you don't see too often.
Such a weird flipper layout, though.
Yeah, that's an insane layout. I have no idea what they were on when they came up with this design.
Yep, crazy.
Speaking of which,
yep,
we've got Orbiter 1 right next to it, which every time I play that, I have no clue which way the balls are going to go.
do. But this came from the outside, and someone brought this idea to Stern, and they ended up buying it.
Oh, interesting.
But this is more Stern games. So from the early Stern years, this to me is one of the more elaborate, interesting games that they came up with.
Upper playfield.
But I mean, you don't see these Stern titles every day. Who made this game?
Rally once again.
That's my boy.
Yeah.
Harry Singers, a.k.a. the Beatles. And then you got
I
Safecracker.
thought I heard Safecracker.
So that's kind of fun. You don't see that game every day.
Yeah, and let's talk about the magic tokens that you've got over here, right?
Yep.
Something a little bit unique about those. Why don't you zoom in on that over there? Those characters look a little familiar, don't they?
Pinball Expo, or with the Expo there?
You got Flippy on there.
Yeah. Crazy, huh?
Yeah. I'm talking about those shelves.
So this collection I love because these shelf games were made in 1960 by Williams. And they tried an experiment. And at the time, what was so popular was to go to the bars, drink your beer, smoke your cigarette. But here, you could lay your beer down, play pinball, smoke a cigarette, drink, whatever. And they tried it, and it lasted just the 1 year only. But look, even the crazy tubular legs.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So I had these tubular legs recreated as well.
Oh, that's unique.
Yeah, because they're always rusted out. During COVID, I had nothing to do but buy pinball machines. And I thought to myself, which games did I play the least growing up? And it was Bally games, because the Bally games from the 60s I thought were the most boring games out. So I started looking for them, and here we go, guys. These are titles. This one's been around. But here's titles sometimes. Some you've seen. Joker is a low production run. 110.
Movies never reached full production, though, didn't they?
Yeah. Here, this 70 on this one.
Wow.
Crazy, isn't it? Yeah, C-Ray.
And it's just amazing to think about, because some of these, you're talking about production runs that were in double digits.
Yeah.
So many of them have probably been lost to time or the junkyard or whatever, and yet somehow you still manage to find these, save them, restore them, bring them out here for everybody to enjoy and play.
70 on this. Crazy. But so many Bally games had low productions. Why? I guess they were all dog games.
They did not do well in testing.
Exactly. If people didn't buy them, why produce them? So we're going earlier and earlier. Some of these early titles from Bally, you just don't see them too often.
Yeah, Trio, Bullfight, Harvest.
You ever hear these titles?
No.
Yeah.
These are just hit after hit after hit. So many great games down this aisle.
Crazy, isn't it? Here's an early game here. This game I bought locally. Someone had this game in their home. The back glass was shot, but I was able to get a reproduction from Shea. But, I mean, these games aren't really all that fun to play, but again, it's part of the history. This is cool. We call it the butterfly flippers.
Yeah.
Not too many games.
I was playing this one a little bit last night. It's crazy how those flippers just go outwards instead of inwards.
Yeah. This is a fun game here with the animation here.
Oh, and of course we got to talk about Humpty Dumpty, the originator of the flippers.
Yep, this is the first game with the flippers. Harry Mabs, and this turned the world upside down because all of a sudden flippers brought a whole new dimension to pinball.
Yeah. Without this game, this place might not even exist.
This is where it all started.
Yeah.
And the story behind it is that Harry Mabs created the flipper, and this game was a mega hit. But he went to David Gottlieb and said, "Hey, I think I deserve some extra money, a little bonus, something for my hard work."
Right.
And David Gottlieb refused him. He says, "You know, you're paid to do stuff like this. It just so happened this thing turned out to be a big hit, but you're paid to do a job, and then you did your job." So Harry Mabs always felt slighted by that.
Right.
So he ended up leaving Gottlieb and went to work for Williams near the end of his career.
Wow.
So that's a story not many people have known about.
Okay.
Another early Genko game. What's wrong with this backlash?
So, well, other than the cracking, but I'm sure you've got a reproduction lined up for that.
On the way. But see, back in the 50s, this is a popular feature, these popping balls.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was back then, but
They love
see how
games
it goes?
like that.
so you get a certain series, whatever it is, and it gives you extra points.
I've seen those popping balls before like that, but with a shooting game.
Now, I want to show this to you guys. This game,
Oh my gosh.
they made Terminator 2 that had Arnold Schwarzenegger in the backlash.
Yeah.
But when I saw this one here, I stopped in my tracks and I said to the guy, "Sold."
Yeah.
He said, "It's not for sale." I said to him, "Sold." But the backlash alone is so eerie looking.
Yeah.
And then he added the head on top. And all of this is all done. Plus the laser cut on the side.
Not just the side, the artwork on the inside here too.
I mean, this game is tricked out like I've never seen a game tricked out. So,
The gigantic DMD.
It's the biggest DMD I've ever seen in my life.
so it's really a cool game. All right, guys, a few more games down here. Of course, the two-player joust.
Yes, two-player joust. It is
This game came out of Canada.
Canada.
Yep.
I love this. You don't see too many two-player head-to-head games. I think I can count them on one hand.
Yeah. And this game here, I'm really tickled to get. Why? Because you never see this game other than the database on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
But to see the game, to play the game is unbelievable.
Yeah.
But we redid the artwork on the playfield, chromed this, brand new backlash. When I got it, the backlash was broken.
Mm-hmm.
So of course it looks brand new again.
Yeah. And this game was designed by Ed Krinsky. Does anyone know that name, Ed Krinsky, from anywhere?
Yeah, from like every Gottlieb game ever.
Correct. So this is where he started.
Yeah.
This was legit his first game.
Probably one of the first games. If not the first, one of the first.
Ah, okay.
Very hard to find this game, especially in this kind of condition.
Well, I'm happy you got it. It's a blast to play. We got Williams Can.
Very rare game.
Oh my gosh, look at that. The ladies in the back.
So listen, when you hit the number, the corresponding girl will bend down and show her
Let's see.
her backside. See number
Oh
7?
my god.
Number 5, see it?
Oh, that's funny.
Is that a riot?
Yeah. And then I guess once you knock down all the numbers, it gives you a bonus, or you gotta...
Yeah, I'm not real sure on the rules of it because there was no rules with it. We have to really kind of make up our own, I think.
Oh, wow.
But guys, if you come to pinball to pastimes, this is what you're going to see. So it's really a step back in time. And hopefully I'll see you guys at Pinball Expo because there's all this and then some. So,
yeah.
Chris, thank you for having me here. And
Rob, why are you thanking me? Thank you for having me here. This place is an absolute dream. I love coming here. Thank you so much for showing us around the game floor and showing us some of your favorite and most prized
my pleasure.
games. It's been a great time talking with you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. Pastimes Arcade is the greatest retro arcade in the state of Ohio, and an absolute must-visit for any fans of pinball or classic arcade games. Rob Berk has curated an impeccable collection of excellent machines across all the eras, and tons of rarities that you just won't find anywhere else. You owe it to yourself to make the trip out to Girard, Ohio and visit them. You simply won't regret it. And once again, so much thanks to Rob for taking the time out of his schedule to talk with us and showing us around. I've been Christopher J., Sick Hands RBN, reminding you to like, comment, subscribe, or join, and I'll see you all next time. Hey, it's me, Christopher J., Sick Hands RBN. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video, and very special thanks to all of our channel's fans, superfans, and sponsors. If you want to help support more arcade tour videos and road trips, please click the join link on the end card here or down in the description for more information on channel memberships. See you all next time.